I have seen one thing, sir. Whenever we talk, because I have done multiple discussions and webinars on this, but I have seen one thing. Whenever to a modern medicine doctor you mention Ayurveda or these things, their immediate response is it's not evidence based. There are no experimental studies, which personally I don't think is true, because I have personally seen some very well designed studies, but they fail to, or they are not ready to acknowledge it. At the same
No,
time,
as I told you, they want to run it down, condemn it. That's the reason why they are saying doing that.
yes,
But Ayurveda has had better controlled trials than modern medicine. Actually, modern medical control trials are not very reliable.
yes, sir. Actually, I have seen these drugs just after one trial, which was sponsored by a pharmaceutical company, and it is released as evidence based. While ever something which has been there for thousands of years, tried and
Yeah.
tested, has many studies, but still they keep asking for evidence. So, isn't there a
No,
bias?
no, no. The very fact that it has survived for so many years shows that patients have survived that. So that itself is the best clinical trial that you can get of. And these clinical trials are 15 patients, 20 patients or 6 months is of no consequence at all, and cannot be compared with the long history of survival of patients with Ayurveda
Yes, sir.
over the last so many years, thousands of years.
So, sir, if I can bring everything that I have learned from you today, is that if people follow Ayurveda to boost their immunity, uh, their not only their risk of getting infection, they might not get it. Even if they get it, it will not be as severe as it would have been otherwise. Is that a true conclusion, sir, in your opinion?
You are right.
So you have this Journal of the Science of Healing Outcomes, and I know from your talks multiple times you emphasize on whole body healing. How does that concept fit in this current pandemic?
Very well, it fits so well. Nothing to really say that it doesn't fit. Actually, I had the good fortune of having some advice from Professor Rustum Roy of Penn State University,
Yes,
a great Indian who has made a name in the West.
yes, sir.
And he was the one who picked me up from a meeting in Delhi and said, "Come, you join me and let's work together."
Oh,
That's how I have come to know him. He's a great man.
so can you please, for the benefit of viewers, can you please elaborate on the work done by you together with him?
Professor Rustum Roy.
Yes, sir.
He mainly worked on worked on various other things about the human immune system,
I see.
and he had his own methods of doing the studies.
I see.
And he was the one who probably propagated Ayurveda in the West.
I see. Sir, to the next part of the discussion, how do you think this medical education will be affected by the current pandemic? Because definitely things are going to change in the field of medical education. So you have been a professor for a very long time. You have been teaching for a very long time all over the world. So you are very much familiar with medical education system globally, actually. So how do you think in this pandemic, first of all, do you think it's going to change? And if it does, how do you see it changing?
My feeling is, predicting the future is very difficult,
Yes.
but my feeling is it will all die down in a couple of months' time.
Oh,
Then you will not hear about the coronavirus at all.
so
Another new virus will be named next time. These viruses have been every winter there are viruses. Actually, if you calculate the number of deaths the ordinary flu virus has done every year, it is phenomenal.
yes,
15 to 18,000 people die of flu every year. Flu virus, ordinary flu virus,
yes, sir.
which it becomes N1, H1, and various things as
Yes.
time evolves.
Yes, sir. So then what is the reason? Because I completely agree that this is no different from the other respiratory infections that we have had, be it SARS or different strains of influenza.
Yeah.
Then how come this became such a fear and created so much havoc in especially
It's
US
because
and
thanks to the media and the people who are trying to sell it,
oh.
it's man-made.
What is your opinion, sir, about testing? Because you keep hearing that there should be more tests done, there should be more tests done, not
If you
enough.
do more testing, you will detect more people with the disease. That's all.
And the sir, I also hear that we detect more people even if they don't have any symptom. So in
Yeah,
natural course they'll get better in time, but just by
yeah, yeah.
then we are adding them to the growing list of numbers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The more you test, the more number of patients you get.
Because data, sir, you know this data has shown that 95%, 95% will have not any severe form of disease, just
No
like
symptoms
any
at
kind of
all.
cold we get. You are sick for 7 days, you have fever and all that, and then you get better with time.
Yeah,
That's the case, right, sir?
absolutely. I agree with you.
There is a lot of discussions are going on vaccine, as if everybody's kind of waiting for vaccine, as if that is going to deliver them from this situation. And I have few concerns regarding that. First of all, whether it will be developed or not. Second of all, we have seen that there are different strains in different part of the world. Whether vaccine from one strain will be effective, and isn't there, sir, a huge uh, cost thing attached to it? Whosoever makes the vaccine will become like billionaire overnight.
Absolutely. And second thing is the drug that the germ will mutate so fast that the vaccine that you produce today will be outmoded in next few months' time.
So,
Virus will have mutated by then.
oh, so this whole hype that has been created around vaccine, I think it's overinflated.
It's business hype.
For business hype.
Vaccine is a big money.
Yes, sir.
But drug is given only to patients, but vaccine is given to every human being.
No, sir.
So if you look at the economics of it, vaccine is a very profitable thing.
No. But sir, I mean, linking what we have discussed, if people follow our ancient system, which you described in the form of these four pillars, I think in our scripture it is described as Yukt Ahar Vihar. That's how it has been
Yeah,
described in our scriptures. If they follow a good lifestyle with proper sleep, proper food, physical activity, positive mindset, whether it's from spiritual practice or just out of kindness to the humanity in general, then that is enough to boost the immune system of an individual and be.
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And that should be our motto for all times to come, irrespective of what germ comes and goes. No germ can master the immune system.
Sir, one more thing about because you are an expert in this field. It is a known fact that patients who have corona and if they have comorbidities like severe diabetes or severe heart disease or chronic lung disease, then the outcomes are much more severe. Because
Obviously, it's logical.
yes, sir. But then my point is that why just corona? Any infection will be bad for them. It's not just about
That's
corona.
exactly what I'm saying. It's not only corona, any germ that comes under the sun, same thing happens.
So in that case, sir, if a person had comorbidity and he died because corona, is it right to call it corona death because he would have died with any other complication too?
I wouldn't call it as corona death at all.
Yes, sir. So because that is also hyping up the numbers of deaths. But I think if you take
That's
those
right.
deaths out because of complication, pure corona-related deaths will be much fewer, sir.
Very few.
Yes.
Actually, that's the one advantage of corona. The death rate is so low
Yes.
that you hardly have any deaths in corona actually. Corona per se.
Yes, sir. But then, as you rightly said, sir, if they don't hype up the fear of dying from it, then how will they market their
People will not follow their advice.
Yes.
That's why they frighten them.
Yes. Again, sir, going back to the same thing. So, if somebody is suffering from these chronic diseases, if somebody has compromised heart function or has a kidney disease or some kind of chronic, what kind of advice would you give to these patients, not medical but otherwise, so that they can be protected or at least from this?
They can avoid the situation of infections, you know.
Okay.
I used to work in England where during the flu season,
Yes.
and I've seen hundreds of patients dying like flies.
Oh,
You know, our cardiac patients dying like flies during the season.
yes, sir.
You go to the ward in the morning and come back in the evening, you see a lot of people disappeared.
And what you're suggesting when you say preventing is the usual thing like wearing a mask, hand hygiene, social distancing.
Same thing. Usual things that people try to do.
Again, sir, this is something that's mind-boggling to me. Is that these things have been there? Social distancing, wearing a mask, and hand hygiene has been there for thousands of years, and but it is being projected as something new has come out of nowhere. But isn't it true?
No. This is an old story.
Yes, sir.
The old wine in a new bottle, that's all. Those actually the methods we followed here are so well good for hygiene.
Yes, sir.
It applies to every disease under the sun. And that is why I say I mean, people think I am being clannish, but I say Indian methods are the best.
Yes, sir.
You know, you don't shake hands. Shake
Yes,
hand is the worst thing.
yes,
You do namaste.
yes,
It's very good because you touch your own hands.
yes,
And with humility, you bend your head forwards.
yes, sir.
Humility is a great virtue,
Yeah,
very health giving.
yes, sir. And even the hugging system was not there in India. In Western, hugging is very common.
No. We never used to hug anybody.
Yeah.
Hugging is still a dirty system. Shaking hands itself is dirty. Hugging
Yes,
is very, very bad.
yes, sir.
During the last season of flu, I was in charge. I had developed some things, you know. When
Yes,
you want to sneeze or cough, you do it on your own axilla,
yes,
like that.
yes,
So nobody touches you in the axilla, so it doesn't get. Otherwise, if you do this
yes.
and then shake hands with the other person, he gets your germ.
So they have.
I get frightened when I look at the television news.
Finally, in the area of medical education, sir, you mentioned that what you feel is that in a short time period, this will become old story, just like SARS and H1N1 and other infections have become. And
Soon it should become the old story,
yes,
hopefully.
yes, sir.
ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನಿಮಗೆ ಇಷ್ಟವಾಗಿದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ವಿಡಿಯೋಗಾಗಿ ಬೆಲ್ ಬಟನನ್ನು ಒತ್ತಿ.